everyone, and welcome to our live match reaction show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzy, and I'm your host for this evening. So this is how it feels like when you manage to get a win. Oh, it's a feeling that I'm sure we've all missed for quite some time, but nonetheless, it's a good one. So today we will be, of course, talking about Liverpool's game where we were victorious against West Ham at the London Stadium. So we'll do a quick match review. I'll also do my player ratings, and if anyone would like to call in, feel free to hit that link, and then I'll try and get you on towards the end of the show. So let's start with the match review, and then I'll go through the comments with you guys as well. So in terms of the first half, Liverpool started the game really, really well. Of course, the surprise was that no Mohamed Salah in the team lineup, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. But in terms of the game, Liverpool had the first shot on goal. It was Florian Wirtz who squared it um, towards the edge of the box. Cody Gakpo dummies it, which I thought was a bad move. I think he should have shot because he was in a great position. Isak manages to get the ball, shoots, but unfortunately balloons it, way over the bar. Isak then has another shot as Gakpo knocks it down from a Joe Gomez cross to the Swedish striker. He chests it down, hits the first time volley, but too close to the goalkeeper who manages to parry it away. For me, in those kind of moments, you have to shoot downwards rather than the height that the ball is being received. So, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Then just before halftime, Van Dijk produced a fantastic long ball over the top towards Gakpo. Gakpo does really well to lay it down for Florian Wirtz, who drives inside the box, hits a low shot, but unfortunately didn't hit it with real power. And in the end, it was a comfortable save for Areola in the second half. Gakpo has a shot from the left hand side, but like Isak did in the first half, skies over the bar. But the signs were positive. Great linked up play between Kyrgios, Wirtz, and Gakpo on that left hand side. But Liverpool finally broke the deadlock as Florian Wirtz hits a through ball towards Gakpo. Gakpo then cuts back a pass towards Isak, and he produces an instinctive finish towards the near post to give Liverpool the lead. That is Isak's first Premier League goal of the season. Hopefully, it's the first of many as well. The goal scorer was unfortunately then later substituted by Ekitike, and the French striker almost added a goal to the tally. Jones and Ekitike combining really well with flicks and tricks. Ekitike has a shot from the edge of the box. Unfortunately, his effort just goes wide. And then, because we've been in such, poor, rich of poor form, I should say poor, rich, poor form in recent weeks, there's always a moment towards the latter stages where you're thinking, hopefully the opponent doesn't get a chance on goal, especially when you're on a 1-0 lead. It's always a nervous scoreline to go into the latter stages, and this was evident here. Jarrod Bowen almost got the equalizer with a shot from the edge of the box. Hit it with real power. He normally buries them, but luckily for us this time round, it went over the bar. But Liverpool managed to score their second goal and pretty much close the show as Joe Gomez tries to find Gakpo in the middle of the box. Mavropanos looks like he's going to head it away, completely misses it. Gakpo chests it down and drills it into the back of the net to make it 2-0 and secure the win for the Reds. And it's been a long time coming, let's be brutally honest. But overall, my thoughts on the match, great win for the Reds. Um, and this time round, I think it was deserved. It wasn't a fluke or it wasn't just a moment of brilliance towards the end. We dominated the game from start to finish. And, there was something about us. Our approach was different. We played with real energy and real drive, something that we've lacked throughout the whole of this season. Defensively, we were really, really good. No inverted fullbacks, thankfully. And that's what I want to see going forward. We don't need to complicate our pattern of play. So let's just keep it simple. Let our back four be defenders and let's not, do the whole inversion thing because sometimes it might work, but I feel like in general terms, it shouldn't be deployed. Even the win that we had against Real Madrid, it was the same tactics. We had a proper back four. Conor Bradley was man marking Vinicius Junior throughout that game. So, let's not complicate things. Let's just keep it simple. It's not rocket science. We don't always need the fullback to invert. The inclusion of Joe Gomez was a huge positive. Something that I think I've been saying for a while that I want to see. Of course, we were not quite so sure in terms of his current sort of situation, in terms of his fitness. Um, but thankfully, he was given a chance, and what he brought to the table was something that we've lacked over the last few weeks, and that's defensive skill, balance, and width on that right hand side. And he was fantastic on the ball. I think that kind of goes under the radar. He's really, really good on the ball, and he produced some great delivery from that right hand side. So Bosley played in a right midfield slash right wing role, which surprised many. And some weren't sure if he could perform. But come on now, this is Sabozlai. This is a guy. If you place him in goal, he's going to produce a masterclass. And today he worked hard, and the combination of Sabozlai and Gomez on that right hand side really worked well together. Isak, from the minute of the start of the game, he looked like he was up for it. He was pressing from the front. Uh, something he hasn't done much, if I'm being honest with you, during his Liverpool career. And as I was watching the game, I just had that hunch that it was a matter of time before he scored. So I'm very, very happy that he scored his first goal for the Reds in the Premier League, and that should be the start of many goals this season. And look, in terms of our opponents, West Ham, they didn't really trouble us today. Jared Bowen, of course, had that huge chance towards the end of the game, and he normally buries them. Let's be honest, that's a point blank range for a player of his capability. But with the application that Liverpool presented today as a team, we got the luck that we deserved in the end. Some fans were after the game were I don't know, not say cocky, but they were like, "Oh, we should be winning these games. It's just West Ham. They've not been great. They're towards the relegation zone." Well, if you haven't been aware, we've been awful this season. We've actually been worse than West Ham in recent times. And before the game, they had won two games and had one draw under new coach Nuno Santo. And this was the coach that, quite frankly, has our number from last season, of course, at a different club. But the tactics are still the same. So let's not downplay our result today, and let's enjoy it. And we should be pleased with the outcome. So personally, for me, I'm very, very happy about the win. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I forgot what it feels like to win a game. So back to normality, and hopefully this is the springboard for the team to get back on track, and hopefully we can string a run of wins going forward. Uh, so let me go through the comments, and then I'll talk about some of the other factors surrounding the match today. Wayne, he said, "Big up Aussie in chat. Big up Wayne. I hope you're doing well." Bo said, "Big up Aussie brother. Big up Bo. I hope you're doing good as well." Ola said, "Yo, Ozzy, what formation do you reckon Stott did today?" I'm certain it wasn't 4-3-3. No, it was a slightly different shape. I would classify it more of a 4-4-1-1 because Florian Wirtz had a bit more of a free roll. He was a bit more further up, and he wasn't required to work as hard in terms of his defensive duties. And our wingers were not further down the byline; they were more, I said, behind the edge of the box. So, it was a bit more of a reserve, but they weren't over committing in their attacking play. So it felt like a more of a structured formation, a 4-4-1-1. And look, it worked. It worked really well. We were defensively sound, and I feel like our wingers really worked hard today. That was the difference in previous games. The wingers haven't been contributing to the team's efforts in terms of tracking back or supporting the fullbacks, because the fullbacks have been exposed quite a bit this season. So it felt like we just took one step back, and I feel like we had a bit more calmness, a bit more composure in our play. So for me, it was a good game plan going into this game. When he says, "Bet you're happy with the win, Aussie. You don't have to do the 9 hour therapy stream anymore." Thank God. I was dreading it, but then again, it might have been needed if we had lost today. I was gonna say, look like a 4-5-1 to me. Yeah, pretty similar. Just a little alteration, but yeah, you're on the same wavelength there. Wayne says 4-4-1-1. Yep, that's the formation. I saw it as well. Bo says Slot has not won me over. I agree. He hasn't completely won me over. It's just one win. We can't get ahead of ourselves. We have to take it one step at a time. And let's see how it goes going forward. Jose says, do you reckon Mo Salah can fit into a 4-4-1-1 when he's inserted back into the starting lineup? Yes, I think he can, but at the same time, I don't think he'll be as effective. Only because when you're playing as he's not so in this formation, you're not playing as a right winger, you're playing as a right midfielder. So not to sound like an old person, but back in the day, in sort of like the late 90s, the formation that most team would play is a 4-4-2. So when you would play a 4-4-2, the wingers pretty much provided the width for the team, but they also worked hard. I'm equivalent to the modern fullback in today's game. So therefore, you have to be really energetic. You have to do everything. You got to be a jack of all trades. You got to learn to track back, defend, and help your fullback. But also, you got to go forward and provide the creativity, whether it's from crossing or threading through balls to your attackers. You've got to do a lot. You've got to be super fit for that role. And I'm not saying Mohamed Salah is not a super fit individual. It's just that he's not renowned for tracking back and defending. With that being one of his main focuses. Suppose our performance today, he was more focused on the shape and making sure that we are solid on our right hand side. And for the first time, the right hand side felt really strong to me. So I think he can, but I think at this stage of his career, it's not something he can do week in, week out. Whether this is the normal formation going forward, I'm not too sure. Maybe it was just a slight tweak for this West Ham game. But tweaks have to be made now in order for us to get any results. So no, I think he can, but not convincingly. If I'm being honest, he'll have to really work hard in his sort of defensive play, and I'm not sure at this stage of his career, he's going to be that type of player. He would probably work better, in my opinion, either as the number 10, so Florian Wirtz's role, or as the striker. I feel like you've got to use his skill sets in those roles rather than on the wing because it's all about stamina. It's all about working hard for the team. I'm not saying Salah doesn't work hard, but when you're playing that role, you're not actually thinking about being a goal scorer. You're being more of a team player slash provider for your attackers. So when you're in that kind of zone, or if that is your tactics that you've been given by the coach, you can't think I'm going to be a goal scorer at that position. So for me, he needs to be in more of those central roles. Um, but that's a discussion we'll have in the coming weeks. And remember, guys, he'll be away on international duty in about 2-3 weeks as well. So you know, this win is actually a great outlook for us to expect in weeks to come as well. Ozan says, big statement today. No Mo Salah, 3 points. I totally agree with that. It is a big statement. Both said he will be back on Wednesday, though. Unfortunately, let's see. Let's see how that goes. We'll talk about that in due course. Where it says, if Salah's bench versus Sunderland and we get a result, a combo has had to be had about dropping him. We played better without him today. To back Salah, he'll be away for a few weeks anyway. So in that way, we don't have to have that conversation, if that makes sense. But yes, a conversation will definitely need to be taking place. And by the time he comes back, you never know. We might have another winger coming through the January window, in the name of Semenya, who could definitely take up that role as well and play in this formation. But we'll have that discussion soon as well. Um, hold on, say 100. Both said West Ham were really bad, but thought they would smash us. To be honest, look, I think in terms of today, we have to give ourselves credit. We performed really well, in my opinion. I know West Ham didn't trouble us as such, but I think that's our own doing, where we didn't allow them the time and space to have an impact on us. So for me, let's give ourselves credit. We've lost 9 in 12. Just because we're Liverpool, we shouldn't just expect to beat everyone all the time. We have to look at the current situation. We've got to put context into it. And we've been dreadful. So when we've been that bad, we've got to put our backs today because we deserve the win based on our performances, and it was a much better performance from the players. So, they might not have been great today, but I think that was because we were better and we were good overall. Other says my man of the match was Joe. Yeah, I'll present my player ratings very shortly. If only the guy can stay fit and be reliable. Yeah, that's the only thing with Joe Gomez. I don't think his ability has been questioned. Not from my part anyway. I've always thought he's so talented. Whether he plays centre back, right back, and even looks good at left back as well. So he's a player that he could be a very important player for us. Um, just needs to stay fit. That's the only issue. That really is. When it says my man of the match was Verts, 95% pass completion. Yep, I agree with you. I've got that stat written down, and that is, a formidable stat for an attacker. Bossa Jones needs to be used more by Slot. Verts, my man of the match. Fair play. I'll give you my man of the match very shortly as well, guys. Ozan says true. Verts was hungry. He deserved at least a goal and assist. Boss says fantastic finish from Isak. Boss says still Slot out, Ozzy, because I am. Yeah, I still am. I'm not, overly sort of convinced by Slot. Um, but yeah, I'll touch on that very shortly. I just want to go through the comments and then yeah, I'll give you my 2 pence very shortly. Versus sorry, when it said verse looked more like the verse we want today, Rolls Royce player. Yeah, he looks really good today. Um and Other says one win don't move me. I need at least five consecutive to reverse my opinion. Yeah, it's true. One win doesn't change anything. We beat Aston Villa, Real Madrid, and you're not thinking, oh, we're going to go for a title charge or anything like that. So nothing towards that notion at all. So no, I totally agree. Okay, let me state some of my thoughts and then I'll read the rest of the comments as well. So now, in terms of other factors in the game, you have to speak about Mohamed Salah. So no, I think tonight I'm not going to say we won today because Salah wasn't involved. I don't think that's fair to pinpoint anything along those lines. We have to look at the team's performance and give them their plaudits. Uh, and he's not the sole reason why we've been terrible. We have been terrible as a collective. But I think today we have to give Slot some credit. It was the right call to rest him today. He hasn't looked good in recent games. He's lacked sharpness, in my opinion. And sometimes it's best to take a player out of the firing lineup in order to protect him and also then bring him back to the team when the time is right. Also, rather than taking digs at him, one of our issues or concerns over the years has always been what do Liverpool do when Salah goes to AFCON? Because the AFCON is also played every couple of years. Well, today it should tell you that we'll be fine. We do have players in the squad that can take his position, and we can play as a team without him. I've also read some rumors today that the Egyptian coach wants to take the players from the 7th of November, which is next week, in order to prepare for AFCON. So I don't know if Liverpool have given Salah permission to leave early in order to fulfill his international duties. Um, but I'm sure we'll get some confirmation in due course. But what today showed me is that we'll be fine if he does decide to leave earlier because we have players in the team or in the squad that can put in a shift on that right hand side, and we have to give some special praise to Florian Wirtz before I even do the player range. I think he was fantastic today. Played with so much energy, drive, and determination. In previous games, he's been very sort of static, just playing in one sort of area. Today, he was roaming around, he's trying to be involved and having an impact on the game. That was a great all-round performance. And when he got substituted, you notice the difference in the team. He kept the ball really well, and some of his through balls were inch perfect. Unfortunately, the attackers weren't on the same wavelength, but that will come in due time. But if you had doubts on Florian Wirtz being a success at Liverpool, in my opinion, that should give you some confidence. And the funny thing is, I know that there's more to come from him. That's just one level. He'll show you his quality more and more as the games go on this season. Wayne mentioned earlier on, his passing completion today was 95%. which is a crazy stat for an attacking player. And for me today, I don't know if you guys noticed it, he looks a lot stronger. And apparently he's gained 2.5 kilograms of muscle in recent times. So it's quite clear Florian has been hitting the gym and it's paying off. So I'm excited in terms of what he's going to bring to the table in the coming weeks and for the rest of the season as well. So if you're not excited, I think you should be because he is showing that he is a special player. And I've said it before, he is a generational talent and he's going to show it this season in a Liverpool shirt. Now, I'm not sure if everyone saw the footage of Arne Slot after the game, but I have it saved. So this is what Arne Slot reacted after the game. Now, let's be honest. Well done, Gaffer. His team selection was spot on today, and tactically he set the team out right to the T, and it was really well done. But my stance hasn't changed in regards to Arne Slot. Um, you know, 9 defeats in 13 games now. It doesn't wipe that away, and it doesn't wipe away how terrible we've been this season. So look, it's a great step in the right direction, and Slot for me has to prove a lot as a coach because we've questioned his tactics, we've questioned his man management. Today he went back to basics, and I think it paid off. So let's hope he continues to do that, going forward, continues to look out for the team, continues to play players in their natural positions, in their natural form in terms of what they bring to the table. So, if he keeps it simple and doesn't overcomplicate his tactics, then everything, should be to normal in terms of us challenging for I was gonna say for the title. I think that's still a bit premature, but I still feel like we can, climb up the table and do better this season. And speaking of the table, Liverpool have moved up to eighth in the league on 21 points, the same as Manchester United, who are currently seventh place. Now, in terms of looking above us in the league table, Chelsea got a valuable draw today against Arsenal, despite going down to 10 men. So the gap is 9 points to league leaders Arsenal. Now, I'm not saying we are going to go for that title charge because it's way too premature to say that. But on the positive side, if we can string along some consecutive wins, we can certainly, challenge or be around second or third place. So even though the season has been diabolical for us, it's not the end of the world. We can still have some leverage to turn the season around and finish in the top four, which for me is a minimum for this football club. But this is just one win. We need to make sure that this is the turning point and we get the results going forward. Now, before I do the player ratings, we'll complete the rest. Well, I'll go through the rest of the comments. So let me see, which was the last comment? I think it was from Ozan. Yes. So Ozan's comment was in regards to not reversing his opinion. Cole says facts. Bo says saw people on Twitter say like, where are the slot outers now? Like I'm still here. My opinion's not going to change. I'm look. I feel like everyone else who has been slot. I think that the opinions or the views of us being slot out were valid. 9 defeats in 12 at the time is not good enough. So just because we got one win, it doesn't change the outlook. We have to see improvements from the coach, but we also have to see improvements from the team. So it's not just Slot, but of course, when Slot is the leader of the group, that is the person you look towards. And if things don't change or things don't improve, then unfortunately his position is in question. So my stance hasn't changed. Um, everyone's got an opinion, I guess. Nick says Slot outers they have a point. When you lose, not out of 12. Yeah, exactly. Well said, 9 hour stream if we don't win against Sunderland. Oh, I'd like to see about that. Um, Listen, if you don't versus Sunderland, you should march on the streets for 9 hours. Bloody hell. Not sure about that either. But also remember that Sunderland have a much better team than West Ham. Look, the Sunderland game is going to be a difficult one. That is not going to be a walk in the park by any stretch of the imagination. That's the one where I'm thinking, we've got to really step up. And if the players, got knackered after today, they got to work harder for that game because we've got to put in the shift. So no, that is not going to be an easy game for us. They have been one of the most informed teams in the league and deserve, to be where they are. They're currently six, as you can see on the screen, 1 point above us. So if we get the win, puts us in a great position. We go above them, and then we keep climbing the table. So that's how you want it to be. But you know, you have to take it one step at a time. But also, Arsenal lost 2 points. Do you feel it, Ozzy? Not yet, if I'm being honest with you. I'm a bit more cautious in terms of how the league will look. I feel like if we can string a few wins on the bounce, then the perspective will change, and we can see the outlook of the league. But not yet. Um, of course, when we won today, I wanted Chelsea and Arsenal to draw, so that went, our way in that regards. But no, I think it's too premature to say we're going for the title charge. Honestly, the last time Liverpool lost to Sunderland, Anfield was 1983. Fortunately, Anfield hasn't been a fortress for us in recent weeks, so we've got to work hard. We've got to make sure we get the win. Double D, we got double D. I think that's LOL in regards to the Arne Slot video there. But it's just, that was all of us. It was us thanking God, thanking above that, we got the win today because it's been a tough time for us Liverpool fans. Let's not kill ourselves. Boss is, how can a team go from being smashed 4-1 at home to in full control in 3 days? What's the difference, Ozzy? I think today Slot just had a different game plan. It wasn't the same tactics. We were more, I would say, focused on our shape and being hard to break down rather than us being the dominant team, i.e., playing on the front foot and trying to exploit the opponent. Because I feel like one of the reasons why we've been so vulnerable so far this season, because we've been so open, we've been overcommitting our attackers, and when the other team hits us on the counter, we've got less numbers and we can't manage to defend those kind of moments there. So I think been a that's been a thing where, like, when we had Klopp, we were very aggressive in our pressing and our attack. When Stock came in last season, we were a bit more calm, a bit more composed. We seem to lost that way of playing this season, but today it was kind of reminiscent of last season where we were a bit more knitted as a team, as in we were more compact in all departments, and I think that helped us with our shape. And West Ham didn't really have an answer for us, so a lot can change in 3 days in terms of how a team sets up. Um, I still believe that there's a lot of work to do with this team, um, but it's a step in the right direction. I also think the lads pressed better today. They did. They seemed more up for it. Even Isak was pressing from the front. So I agree. Everyone worked hard, and it's what we want as the bare minimum. When it comes to playing football. So if you apply that and then bring your quality as a player on the show, then we should be winning games. So hopefully, silly to say out loud, but that should be the norm going forward. Um, yeah, other than saying every single player putting a shift on and off the ball. Agreed with that. Boss says, but he did this with Villa and Madrid. Will he change it back again now? That's the big question. Because I don't want it to where it's just tactics being altered, sparingly for games here and there. I need it to be consistent now. You're seeing Vert's produced one of his best performances in the Premier League so far this season. Isak looks hungry, and I feel like that goal will give him such great confidence in the upcoming games. And we just looked really compact, and there was a more sort of togetherness with this team today. So let's see. That's the big question for me going into the next fixture. When I say if we can add pace and intensity to what we did today, that will be good. Yeah, I think if we can combine that, then we're back to our style of play. But I think that will come. I will think that will come in time when the confidence is risen from results. That was just the first win. If we were able to beat Sunderland, the confidence will grow and grow, and the players will be playing to their ability. So it's just we've got to take baby steps right now. Unfortunately, it's just how it is, and then hopefully we can do better going forward. Now let's move on and uh, excuse me, do the player rating. So feel free to get involved and leave your scores in the chat. We'll start with the goalkeeper. Allison, solid game today. I was concerned in the first half when he bashed into, or should I say, Joe Gomez bashed into him. And it seemed to be hurt. He was holding his back. I was thinking, oh gosh, here we go again. Allison out for a number of weeks, but thankfully, it was nothing serious. And solid performance. He didn't do much. He wasn't required to do much. He wasn't troubled as such, but he was dominant in terms of set pieces. That's something that we've really struggled with, where we've either lost headers or the goalkeeper's not been assertive with punching the ball away from goal. But today, solid performance, but due to lack of action, I can't give him a very high rating. So I'm going to give him a solid 7 as his rating. Joe Gomez. Wow. What a performance today from Joey G. The only thing was missing was a goal because he was in a couple of advanced positions. I thought, oh, maybe he can shoot, but no, he didn't. But he gave us such a boost in terms of his performance today. Firstly, gave us defensive assurance in that right back role. He was still at the back. I feel like his calmness on the ball, whether it's with short passing or long passing, it rubbed off on Kanate. Kanate seemed more assured on the ball as well. And that's the thing, when you've got players around you that you can, rely on or you can bounce off as well, it- it does have an effect across the team. And I feel like Joe Gomez just brought calmness in that role. Like he never felt he was in trouble on the ball. And what impressed me today was his attacking play, attacking in the right moments, whipping in crosses, and there were some really good crosses, but unfortunately, attackers weren't on the same wavelength today. But it was a fantastic all-round performance from Joe Gomez. I just hope he can stay fit because we do need him in the upcoming games. Uh, and I feel like he gives us that experience during the time where we're struggling, and he will be a very important figure for us going forward. So in terms of his performance, I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. I thought he was fantastic today. Knate was better in my opinion, but then again, the benchmark was quite low in terms of his last performance. But looked a bit more assured on the ball. Didn't make any sort of erratic mistakes or anything to that nature. Um, Decent on the ball, but a solid performance, not a stellar performance. Nothing where I felt like he really stood up, but a decent performance still for me. So in terms of his rating, I'll give him a 7 out of 10. Excuse me. Just see a few comments there. Let me read them out for you guys. Um, Ball says, don't want us to be like United, 3 losses, then the manager is under pressure. Then they win 2 in a row. Not good enough if it happens. Yeah, we got to be consistent now. That's the way forward. We have to be consistent as a team. Wade said Ali had nothing to do. 7 for me. I agree. That's my score as well. Ball says 8 for Gomez. Wayne goes for 8 for Joe Gomez. And Bowler's gone for 7 for Ibu Konate, just like me as well. So, Virgil van Dijk, better performance from him as well. Looks more solid. Um, couple of moments where I thought, oh, he's not looking his best in terms of more of a positional sense, but he never really got exploited today. Passing range was good. He almost provided the perfect assist for first when he shot, and Ariola made a low save. Um, but no, a more dominant performance from our centre back. So I'll give him an 8 out of 10. Sanchez, I thought had a good game today. I thought he was really solid. Wasn't inverting, which is I think more of a tactical point of view, and I was quite happy to see, to be honest. Made some decent blocks as well. Um, Interchange with Gakpo, not quite well, but I think it was an improvement from recent games. So very positive from Kirkes. I still have slight reservation in terms of, is he the one to take us forward in that left back role? Um, but for me, he's a talented player, just needs to produce more application for me. So in terms of his rating, I'll give him a 7. I'll give him a 7, a solid 7 out of 10. Maybe a 7.5 actually. I think he was slightly better than Konate, so 7.5. Wayne's gone for 7 for Ibu as well. Wayne said 10 out of 10 for Van Dijk for not playing volleyball today. That is true. That is true, to be fair. Um, let's move on to Szoboszlai. I thought he had a good performance today. Not as influential in his sort of previous performances, but it, I think there was a different game plan for Szoboszlai today. For him, is just to make sure he protects our right back and be industrious in his play. I think that's exactly what he did. I know in his previous spells at other clubs like Red Bull Leipzig, he's played right wing before, so of course right wing playing a bit more forward. He played right midfield today, which is different because you're more defensively focused. But I thought he performed at a good level. Passing was good. Going in around the box when needed, was the engine working up and down. So a solid performance for me from Szoboszlai. So I'm going to give him uh, uh, if I can get his name up, 8, just like his shirt number out of 10. Now Gravenberg, I was a little bit disappointed with Gravenberg, to be honest with you. I thought he was quite wasteful on the ball. His touch wasn't quite there yet, and his through balls were not the best either. So I thought it was a weak performance from Granberg. I expect a lot more. I'm not just saying it because I've said that it benchmarked very high for him. I just don't think he was as great today. And you can tell by his demeanor, he was very frustrated with himself. There were so many passes where he was overplayed or underplayed. It just wasn't in the rhythm. But of course, off the ball, he worked hard. He tried to pose a physical presence to the opponents, and he did to an extent. But I found him very frustrating today. I really did. So for me, in terms of Gravenberg's performance, I'm going to give him. Do you know what? I might even give a bit lower. I'm going to give 5 out of 10. I wasn't impressed with him today, if I'm being brutally honest. Let me go through the comments here. Wayne has given Perkins a 7, which is fair. Bo has asked, why does Jones get so much hate by fans, even though he has never been so bad either? I'm not too sure. I think maybe there is high expectation for Jones because he's a scout son, he's come through the ranks. I'm not entirely sure. Um, sometimes I feel like with fans when they watch games, if a player doesn't do something that's easy on the eye or a trick or something that's outrageous, then you don't notice someone's growth, if that makes sense. And over the years, Jones has had to deploy a different role in this Liverpool team where when he came through, he was a number 10, he was an attacking midfielder. And in time, he's had to play as a number 8, has had to play as a number 6 in a double pivot. So he's adapted his game, he's become more of a player that is renowned for ball retention. He makes sure he doesn't lose the ball, but also, he's able to be progressive with his passing. I'll speak about Jones in terms of his performance today, but what you can't deny is, his commitment, his fight for the badge, and you need players like that in your squad. He might not be a player that starts week in, week out, but he's definitely a player on the bench. He's definitely a player that is in and around the team. So for me, you can't just expect everyone to be world class in a squad. You've got to have players that bring value to your team. He understands the league. He understands what it means to represent the city, the club as a fan. So those things you can't buy. That is something that is ingrained in him since he was a young boy. So you have to utilize players like that. So I don't know why he gets that kind of hate. I've always rated John. I think he's a very talented player. I just feel like maybe the expectations are high from certain sections. I'm not entirely sure. Uh, but in terms of today's performance, I thought he did well. But I'll give you his ratings very shortly as well. Wayne's giving 6 for Graph. Yeah, I, I hear you on the 6. I've given him 5. Maybe I was being a bit harsh there. I wasn't impressed with him today. Antonio, big up Antonio. He says, I hate Slot. He's ruining Chiesa. I'm so angry. I'm surprised Chiesa didn't get any game time today. I actually wanted us to take off Gakpo for Chiesa. Gakpo ended up scoring the goal, but I don't feel like Gakpo played very well, in my opinion. So I feel like Chiesa should have got some game time. Clearly, there's an issue there. God knows what it is, but I hear you because I've been very vocal about verts and players that haven't been given the opportunity to play their roles. And I feel like Chiesa is one of those players where even when he comes off the bench, he's so impactful. And I guess he deserves to, get some starts under the belt, but Slot unfortunately doesn't see it that way. Both saying facts. I think that's in regards to my Jones take there. Ben, big up Benny says, I like Jones, fights for the badge and he's a big game player. He is. And you want players like that. Players that, and I don't mean to be rude when I say they know their role. They know they won't be the first name on the team sheet every week, but they know that whenever called upon, they will step up. You need players like that in your squad. So I think he's a valuable member. When it's his first man to match performance, 9 would be a 10 with an assist or goal. That's fair. Ozen says, Clark is 24 now. Ozzy, do you think his ceiling will get higher? Will he keep improving aspects of his overall game? I think he can still improve his overall game. I think defensively he can be better. I'm not saying he's bad, but I think he can improve. Of course he can. And I think even from an attacking point of view, I feel like he can add more goals to his game. He has the capability. I used to watch it when he used to play for Liverpool reserves. He can score, different types of goals. So he can become a complete midfielder where, defensively he can be a bit more sharper, a bit more aggressive, a bit more physical if needed. But at the same time, even from an attacking point of view, I feel like he can definitely contribute to more goals. So there's always room for players to improve. In terms of his ceiling, I feel like he can reach another level, if I'm being honest. Um, and hopefully he does in the near future. Paul says, will there ever be a fully Liverpool team? Scouts obviously would love that. I don't think so. In this day and age, the modern game is that, you try and find the best talents all over the world. On paper, that would be fantastic, but, it's very difficult to unearth a team from one demographic and then for them to be, all amazing. So, no, I don't think that will be the case. I honestly don't think that will ever happen. I agree. Honestly, I don't think it will happen even if Premier Rovers, yeah. It's just this is not how football works, unfortunately. Honestly, you need to combine both Liverpool and Everton academies to even come close to that. I don't think the Everton Academy would help us that much. But yeah, I hear your point on that one. Okay, let's move on and let's speak about McAllister. I think he started the game a bit slow, if I'm being honest with you. As the game went on, I definitely saw improvements in McAllister's play. I don't think he was amazing today, but there was time where he was a bit more aggressive, showed more energy. He carried the ball a couple of times, which surprised me because I haven't seen it in so many weeks. So a much better performance, and hopefully he can continue on that path because that's something that I've been quite disappointed in terms of his performance. He's not really been, the midfielder that we know when he joined the club. Renowned for his passing range, his energy, his tenacity, and those three skills that he hasn't shown it at all this season. But today he was better than what he has shown in previous weeks. Um, wasn't a stellar performance, but a decent performance in my book. So for me, I'm going to give McAllister 6 out of 10. That's my rating for Mac 10. Gakpo, Gakpo is going to split opinions for me. I think the positives of his performance today, he worked hard for the team. He really helped out Kirkes on that left hand side, and he definitely put in a shift. So I'll give him that credit. And of course, provide the assist for Isak's goal and also scored a goal towards the end of the game. But having said that, that's the pros. The cons for me is that he was quite frustrating in terms of his passing, his decision making. He keeps cutting in and taking some ridiculous shots where you can't even see the goal, but he's still shooting. So those things need to improve. Um, and on paper, he's got a goal and assist, but I don't feel like his score should be bumped up because of that. He's kind of just been not really, yes, a bit harsh, but he's been in good moments where he's able to produce those end products there. But I feel like there's more to come from Gakpo. He needs to work hard. He needs to be a bit more efficient in his play. And I think he needs to be sharper when it comes to decision making. There were times where he could have passed the ball quicker. In the first half, the first shot we had, he dummied it. He should have taken a shot on goal. So just those little details that will be defining in terms of his overall performance. So for me today, I felt he was solid, but not um spectacular based on the stats where he's got a goal and assist. So for me, I'll give him a. It was going to be 7, but it would be a 7.5 because of the goal and assist. So I boosted it by half a point there. So for me, that is Gakpo's rating. Bo says, yeah, true. Just in my dreams, maybe. Wayne says, Mac 10, a 6 for me. That said, today was one of his better days. It was one of his better days. Bo's gone for 7.5. I've gone with the same score. Wayne's got 8 for me. It says 8 for me, goal and assist, which is fair as well. Florian Wirtz, fantastic performance today. I've already spoken lyrical of him earlier in the show. Oh, so pleased, which I'm sure you guys will be aware because I've been labeled as the president of the Vets Defense League. Some even called me his agent. But look, I've watched the play over the years and I've been a big fan of his, and I always thought this was a pipeline dream to see him in a Liverpool shirt. So now that he's here, it's taken him time to get to this level today. Um, but why are we surprised? Unfortunately, in this modern day, us football fans, we're very impatient. We expect everything to happen so quickly. But you look at Premier League history, when players have come from abroad, it's always taking them time to get accustomed to a league. And today, I mentioned this earlier, he had a bit of a presence about him. He looked stronger on the ball. Wasn't getting pushed around like he has done in previous weeks. So that's something that he's working towards. And his qualities will show in an all round way because I don't feel like People should question his ability and question why we spent so much money on him. He is a generational talent, whether you believe it or not. In my opinion, he is, and a lot of people agree with that as well. So fantastic performance today. Everything about what he produced today was just really, really positive. Passing, some of the through balls he produced today, phenomenal. Isak just wasn't on the same wavelength, but I feel like the signs were there. Like there's one moment where he produced a through ball with his left foot, and Isak was acres away from it. But then another same sort of moment happened late in the game, and Isak was in the right position, so he understood where Verts was going to supply the balls, but a West Ham defender made that clear. So for me, that shows that they are still building and understanding on the pitch together, not just Verts and Isak, all the new signs and all the players as a collective. So the more these players play consecutively, the understanding will build, and I feel like they will do better as time goes on. So I was very, very impressed with his performance today, as you can probably tell. So in terms of his rating, I'm going to give Florian Wirtz a 9.5. If he had scored that goal, for me, it would have been a 10, or provided an assist, a direct assist, because the Gakpo one was down to his play, to be honest with you, in terms of the Isak goal. But yeah, very, very impressed with his performance today. Let's talk about Isak. I thought Isak was really good today. And what impressed me the most was his off the ball play. He worked hard, he was pressing, he was energetic, he was trying to make his presence felt from a physical standpoint. Got himself into good goal scoring opportunities in the first half. Uh, the first one, I don't think he was expecting. I thought he thought that was going to shoot, so maybe caught him by a slight surprise there. And then the chest and the volley, because he was so close to the keeper. He hit the ball in terms of the connection was fine, but you got to assess your situation. If you've got the goalkeeper there, you can't hit it towards his height. You have to hit it towards the ground. So that's something that will be instinctive as it goes along. But the finish that he produced, that was instinctive. That's not an easy goal. It's a side-footed finish, which you think is, bread and butter, but it's the I'm excited to see, how he does going forward. Um, and yeah, I feel like this is the start for Isak. This is first of many. So for me, yeah, I'm excited in terms of what he's got, coming up, and hopefully he can continue his good form going forward. So in terms of Isak's rating, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. So that is my player ratings. I've got a few comments here, and then I'll also discuss the substitutes that came on today as well. Uh, Ozan says McAllister actually defended today and he didn't get ran through. Pause. Yeah, pause. Pause indeed, but I do agree with you. Wayne says Isak 8.5 got a goal and could have had two more. One keeper save, one over the bar. Exactly that. Um, Ozan said when Verts kicks into top gear Aussie, he's gonna be unplayable. He's just got to be patient, keep improving. That's all it is. Let him play his natural game. But I feel like, today I was very impressed with his pressing. I was very impressed in terms of the passes that he was picking out, the application, and he seems to be improving his understanding with his teammates as well. So he'll come good. It's just a matter of time. We just have to be impatient as fans. Look, if we were winning, I don't think there'll be a crazy emphasis on his performances. Of course, rival fans will always talk and say, "Oh, you spent 116 million. What's he doing?" They're always going to talk. But we watch our team week in, week out. We know what he brings to the table. And he's shown glimpses this season. But today I was like, this is the performance. This is the one that If you don't believe, you should believe going forward now because this is just the start. He's going to produce better performances as time goes on. So for me, once he does hit the gears, like you said, Ozan, he's going to be unstoppable. So exciting times for us Liverpool fans. That's how I'm going to break it down. Moses verse looked bigger today. Was it lovely stuff? Saw the muscles. Yeah, he is. He looks. And then I read before, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that he gained 2.5 kg muscles. So that shows, he's been working hard in the gym and it's paying off. So yeah, very, very positive from Florian Wirtz. In terms of my starting lineup here, of course, you already know who man of the match is, and that is Florian Wirtz. So a lot of you have gone for Joe Gomez, Florian Wirtz. It could be one or the other. For me, it was just a split decision for me. But yes, I think Florian Wirtz tips it because it was a very dominant performance and 95% pass completion for an attacking player. It's not something you hear every day. So very, very positive performance here from Florian Wirtz. Now, we only made 3 subs, I believe. So let me bring them on. So Ekatike came on for Isak. And then we had Florian Wirtz being replaced by Curtis Jones. And Robertson, I did not even notice that he was brought on, but he did actually replace Curtis today as well. So let's talk about, I think Ekatike was the first substitute. Let's talk about Ekatike. So I thought when he came in, he didn't have much impact. Though. The one thing that I remember is the combination between him and Jones, 1-2 flicks and tricks. And then he had a shot just on the edge of the box, missed the post. So that was the only effort there. But otherwise, not really involved in the game. Of course, didn't have too much time to have any pressure. So I'll give him a 5 out of 10 just because I don't think he did too much today. Now, in terms of Jones, I was impressed with Jones's performance. I think this might split opinions as well. Like when he came on and got on the ball straight away. He was driving the ball, spraying through balls, and I was very impressed with his application. And maybe he was fired up because he didn't get the start. Because I feel like he deserved to start in this game. Unfortunately, those comments he made after the PSV game may have led to him being placed on the bench. But I feel like he was very positive today, very aggressive, press from the front as well. Like what we've seen from Sabozlai, he was doing that today. He was being the focal point of his pressing. He was very aggressive in his play. So I was impressed. I'm not saying he was 10 out of 10 or anything like that, but that's what you want from your midfielder. You want them to come in and play with intensity because then you don't have that drop off in terms of the speed of the game. So for me, I thought he did really well when he came on. So I'm gonna give Jones a 6 out of 10. Robertson, I remember him making some good through balls from a deep position. But other than that, I don't remember him being involved too heavily because he came on quite late. So I'm just going to give him a 5, just out of respect, due to the limited time that he had. So that is my complete player rating there. I'm just going to go through some of the final comments before we close the show. Um, let's see. Bo says, hopefully Bert starts as a 10 versus London. I hope so too. I can't say 100% he will because Slot has shown in the past that he does switch it around, but I believe and hope that he does play in the same role like he did today. Wayne says 5 for Ekite didn't do much. No, apart from that shot, I agree. I don't think he did much today. Bo said, what the F was Paqueta doing, Ozzy? Honestly, um, I was so confused by his reaction because this was when he fouled Sabozlai and it's just a normal foul. It wasn't anything too deep. We weren't slowing the game down or anything like that. got the yellow card, and then he just went absolutely berserk, and I just couldn't stop shouting at the referee. The referee, by the way, took a long time to give him a yellow card, but then again, I think he was just giving him the benefit of the doubt to calm down. And when you've got your opponent players coming over to him, trying to calm him down, that's when you know he's gone. Like he's lost the plot. Allison came over, a fellow Brazilian, tried to calm him down. Probably spoke to him in Portuguese and said, "Look, calm down." But he was just so rattled. Jones came to calm him down. He pushed Jones out of the way, like didn't want to hear it. Van Dijk came over as well. I don't know what's wrong with him, honestly. Um, yeah, he lost the plot, and that's another one match suspension. He just came back from a one match suspension. Now he's got another one. So God knows what's going on with him. Others saying Brazilian Twitter saying he had some betting loans to pay in Rio de Janeiro. He's not going to beat the allegations now based on what happened last year. So no good luck. We said that Bo wants a Christmas holiday before the man starts. That's what I thought originally, but then I realized it's only a one match ban, so he'll miss the midweek game, but then he'll be back there next weekend unless Nuno drops him. And he looks really annoyed, and rightly so. Um, but yeah, you need to get straight ready if you want, three match bans. I was just a man, Ben on himself to get sent off. Apparently, imagine that. And Wayne says, I bet he did. Slot overall rating, Ozzy. Yeah, let me give. I always forget to give the manager rating. I think today I'll give him. I'll give him 10. 10. No, not 10 out of 10. I'll give him a 9.5. Maybe I'll give him a 9.5 because I would have liked to have seen Chiesa. So that's maybe from a more of a selfish point of view. But practically made the brave call, whether you believe it or not, to drop Salah is always going to be a talking point. So for him to do that, I think it was the right call. It was for the benefit of the team, and that's what I've been saying for weeks. He needs to do what benefits the team, not to please players and not to fall for player power and all that sort of stuff. He needs to do what's best for his team to get the results. And today, that was evident, including Joe Gomez in the lineup. We've been saying it for some time. I wanted him to start in the previous game against PSV, but he didn't. So I was happy that he was involved. Tactically, I think we just took one step back from being gung ho in terms of attacking, and I feel like we were a bit more measured in our approach. So yeah, at 9.5, but from a selfish point of view, I wanted to see Chiesa, so that's why it's a 9.5. But overall, pleased with his performance today as a coach. Ball's gone for 10 out of 10, which is fair. Had to be a bit. I don't think Paqueta made the foul. That's what I thought at the time. I haven't checked it back, to be fair. And if that is the case, Wayne, I think West Ham have a reason to appeal. I thought it was. I can't remember who the midfielder was alongside him, but I didn't think it was him. So yeah, I was quite surprised by that as well. I might be wrong. Wayne said to me, it looked like his teammate, yeah, but he got the blame. That's what I thought as well, Wayne. I think you're right. That's what I thought as well. 10. Brosy has switched his tune. I'll give him a 9.5. Just based on new tactics. The point five is that I didn't book Chiesa on. But my stance on Slot hasn't changed, if I'm being honest with you. Boss is 9.5 for Slot as yeah, that's my rating. 16 out of 10 from Ozan. To be fair, he was good today. Still want him gone though. Yeah, I agree with Wayne there as well. Boss says Ozzy has switched side. No, 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 no. I am still Slot out. I have not switched side. I am just going based on what I saw today. So my analysis is game to game, but my overall viewpoint, I would say, is yeah, good performance from the coach, but he has for me a lot more to prove. Um, And like you said, Bo, it depends what he does in the next game. If he reverts back to old tactics, then what was the point? So that's my thing. That I feel like with him, he needs to put his ego or his philosophy to one side. It's about regaining form now and try and get wins on the pitch. And once we do, then he can slowly embed his personal imprint on the team because it hasn't worked. He's done too much too soon in terms of his sort of tactical overhaul. And I feel like because of that, the players have either been disconnected or they're not really bought into the ideas that he's trying to coach in training. So therefore, I feel like we need to just take it one step at a time. And also the Premier League is different now. I feel like he didn't see it coming. Where I feel like this season, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the Premier League has become more physical now, and this year it's more about set pieces and that aerial sort of dominance. It's not a technical game, so not every team are playing beautiful technical football. It's more so, you know, getting the upper hand from a set piece or, you know, being stubborn as a defensive team or as your defensive setup now, because a lot of teams are playing back threes now. So that shows you where the game is going. And although I've been, pleased with the signings that we made, and I know people are still making that as an excuse saying that, the signings weren't good. I still stand by. I think the signings were good. I'm still impressed with what we did in the summer. It's just I haven't clicked it. So once it does, then you'll see the fruits of the labor of us, making those big signings in the summer. And then we could kind of present that imprint of playing that actual football that I think Slot wants to play. But right now, we have to just take it one step back, play to a certain level where we can be more defensively sound. And I feel like going forward, you know, we can sort of use it as a turning point of our season and just play to our strengths and not try to play a different game. And I'm hoping that we can dip into the market in January because I do feel like one or two additions will just strengthen the cause even further. So whether that's a centre back, a DM, or a winger, I feel like at least two of those positions should be addressed in the January window. But we'll discuss that another time. But no, I have not switched. I'm still out, to be honest with you. Bo says 9 out of 12. Bo says Alonso could be sacked after another draw. Bloody hell. Is he not? Are they not still top of the table? Oh no, they've dropped, haven't they? So Barcelona are ahead of them in La Liga. But it's only 1 point. If he gets sacked, there's definitely a breakdown in terms of their relationship there. And if he does get dismissed, you guys already know he's my number one choice. So that would be the one I would like to see coming at the club. But let's see what happens. Austin says overall decent weekend. We take all 3 points while Arsenal and City drop points. So that's probably the best way to end the show with that comment because that is exactly it. Has been a decent weekend. We've got 3 points. Arsenal and City drop points. So we've got to look at the positives, and Bo agrees with that as well. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Um, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let me give my shout outs before I close the show. So, shout out to Ozan, shout out to Wayne, shout out to Bo, shout out to who else do we have? Shout out to Double D, shout out to Antonio, shout out to Ben, uh, shout out who else do we have? I think that is it. So apologies if I missed you. I appreciate your engagement as always, guys. In terms of upcoming shows, nothing scheduled for tomorrow, but we will do the match preview of Liverpool versus Sunderland. Is it at home or away? Let me double check. Is it at home or is it away? So it is at home. So yes, So we'll do the match preview of Liverpool versus Sunderland on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we will do the live watch along. So that game is taking place 8:15 p.m. UK time. So, it'll be a bit of a late one, but we'll crack on with that. And then we'll do the match reaction show. And then either on Thursday or Friday, we'll do the match preview of Leeds United versus Liverpool as well. So, yeah, lots of content coming your way. Might do a show tomorrow. If there's any sort of transfers roaming around, we might do a transfer show instead. But we'll do the previews from Tuesday onwards. But that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I'll just speak to you all very, very soon. Goodbye.